Oh boy.
So welcome with the introverted business experience. This is Aftab. He owns a web hosting slash web company called Bouncy Network. Will you introduce yourself for us, please?
Yes, nice to meet you, Brent. It's been a while since we've spoken.
Exactly.
Uh, yep, my name's Aftab Ali. I am one of the founders of Bouncy Castle Network with my co-partners Eddie and Fiona Daniels. We are based out of the UK and we service the party rental industry worldwide. We operate in 19 different countries and serve approximately 6,500 customers with websites and booking systems mainly for inflatable rental companies, but our product is also suitable for hot tub hire, photo booth hire, mechanical bulls, dumpster rentals, even anything really that needs to be picked up, put into a vehicle, delivered somewhere, and then brought back to base. And we've been established since 2003. And we're a team of around 35, 36 people. Like I said, based out in Manchester.
Yeah, so you told me way before that initially you started in the UK. Is there any particular reason why you went to the US? Is it just regular expansion or were there different reasons behind it?
Yeah, there were a few reasons. I mean, we've been operating, like I said, for some years now, nearly 20 years. And initially, my background is actually in graphic design, branding. So I used to do graphic design for Kellogg's. So the cereal boxes that you guys grew up eating out of, Kellogg's cornflakes and crunchy nuts and
So
all
you're
those kinds of things.
actually partially responsible for my obesity then.
That's right. I always say everybody pretty much in the Western world will have at some point seen one of my cereal boxes if you're of a certain age. And then I moved on to work for the likes of Disney, MTV, Adidas, Channel 4, which is a television channel in the UK, Suzuki. So I was my background in big brand development and corporate design.
Yeah.
And I had my own successful agency called Reach BCS, and we were one of the larger companies in the UK for web design and kind of early days of online marketing. This is around 2000s, so kind of the boom era for websites. And we created a very early version of a reservation system, which was before Just Eat and for even apps were a thing, which was a reservation system for restaurants. And in around 2004 or five, I think it may have been, mobile phones became illegal to use whilst driving. And my friend Eddie Daniels, who owned a gym that I used to attend, says, after you're kind of the guy for this kind of stuff. I'm a Bouncy Castle operator as well as a mobile DJ. Can you solve this problem for me? So Eddie brought the ideas from his business, and we crafted a light version of a reservation system for him, and his business just literally quadrupled within a year. And over a 2 or 3 year period, we refined it, and it actually became quite a sophisticated solution. And obviously, I branded his business as well, which is called Go Bouncy, still going to this day, although it's a new owner now. And so I brought all my big agency experience and big brand experience to a small, inflatable hirer, or bouncy castle hirers, as we call them in the UK, the bounce house rentals worldwide.
Yeah.
And after a few years, Eddie was, I've had enough of this. Really, we need to sell this product. Let's team up. There's a bit of a side hustle, and you build them, and I'll go and sell them. And if you've met Eddie, he's a fantastic salesperson, and he was already well known for this booking system and reservation system that he had. And so he went on the phones and just started selling. And as Eddie does, it went from 1 to 10 to 50 to 100 to 200 to 500 to 1,000, and it just grew and grew and grew. And we started obviously getting momentum and marketing and a lot of time marketing momentum behind us. And eventually, it started taking up a lot of my resources in terms of my developers. We're almost exclusively now working on Bouncy Castle websites. And we just kept growing. And then in around 2006 or seven, we just decided to bring things together as one business, and he gave up his gym and his Bouncy Castle business, and I gave up my agency, and we brought all our resources together to start Bouncy Castle Network. In fact, we're actually called Booking Online
Yeah,
Limited in the UK and Booking Online LLC in the USA, because we do create solutions for companies outside of the inflatable rental industry. So that's how we started, and the rest is pretty much history. So we in the UK and well, anything outside of America, there wasn't a system like this. So we very very quickly kind of saturated the market in the UK. The same in Ireland, English-speaking parts of Europe, Australia, New Zealand. You know, we were the number one provider in it, and this kept growing and growing up until around 2017, and literally it was overflowing. So there were anybody new was joining up with us, and anybody was kind of retiring, was falling out of the industry. So it was just like churning. We weren't really going anywhere, and we never really considered the US market because we knew there were already two operators out there. We didn't, you know,
yeah,
and we didn't want to cover the additional time zone, but there was no area left for us to go to. It usually was go to America or just be happy with your lot. And, you know,
yeah.
we're an ambitious bunch. So in 2018, we went to IAPA and we had a look and we spoke to some of the larger players there. And they gave us some guidance as to what was required. In fact, it was Roland Bax from then JB Inflatables who opened his network to us in the US, introduced us to a few people, and then we actually realized that we were almost twice the size of the operators in the US, the software operators in the US combined. So there wasn't really any reason not to go there. And there's obviously, you know, a large marketplace still in the US. So in 2019, we exhibited, and on the opening day, we won the Brass Ring Award for the best new solution. And in fact, we were that busy on our stall, our booth, that we couldn't even receive the award from the people who from the judges. They just literally left it on the side and says, you know, when you have time, you know, there it is. Take a picture and send it to us. Normally they have a whole ceremony that goes around these things, but we were just too busy selling. And it's not stopped since. You know, the Americas have been very welcoming to us. We've signed up lots and lots of customers. We probably sign up between 50 and 100 customers a month in the US. And yeah, we just keep growing. We just keep delivering our service. You know, websites, booking systems, logos, built-in SEO, all that kind of stuff. And we have a good reputation for customer support. We've expanded our hours, so we operate from 9 a.m. UK time to 9 p.m. in the evening, which
Oh, wow.
covers, you know, most of the times in the
Yeah,
US now, office hours, maybe up to 4 to 5 p.m. in some places. The West Coast is a little bit harder to service, but you know, we have a fantastic Facebook group where our existing customers, people that have been using the system since day one, in fact, they know the system better than we do because they use it on a daily basis.
yeah.
Are more than happy to support international customers outside of our office hours and you know, give them guidance when they do get stuck with something, and our team is available to answer.
Now, obviously, I'm very well rehearsed with your competitors as well, and I always wonder why are you staying like mostly with the party rental industry? Like if you look at ERS, event rental systems for people who aren't listening, they're also in the dumpster rental industry, as known as dumpster rental systems. Why isn't that something you as a company have? Like, do you have any plans to eventually reach out there, or are you like, this is strictly the industry that I want to stay at? Are there any plans for expansion towards different industries, or is it more so if they come and be it?
Yeah, I mean, we've specialized in all kinds of systems, really. I don't really want to give away other
Yeah.
areas that we're involved in at this stage. But we do operate in other areas. We have a sub brand called Sizzle Media, which actually we just recently sold that arm to a former business partner of ours, and we've done reservations. Like my background was in, you know, the kind of restaurant trade, reservations for that, a very early version of Just Eat. We've done hotel reservation systems, car hire, cycle hire, you know, holidays. hotel booking systems. We've done all kinds of stuff. I mean, we're a Microsoft certified team. So we've done, some pretty extensive projects for some very big brand name businesses, which I'm not obliged to share under NDAs. But the bouncy castle industry has been very good to us. There's no reason for us to focus our energy on anything else
Yeah,
because we're still signing up enough customers to meet our capacity or stay within a comfortable rate of work, and we're growing nicely. We grow, year on year. We keep expanding, and our reputation continues to improve. So there's no real need to go to other markets. We would rather be the master of one type of a solution and
yeah,
become the go-to provider than spread ourselves thin and and offer our services to lots of different industries. We like to be and we are successful at what we do.
yeah.
And as of yet, there is no reason to look at another market. Although we do get inquiries and we don't turn them away, we will produce websites. I mean, it's as varied as you can imagine for web design. But I mean, we do offer additional services. You've seen that I do kind of logo designs
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well, which really started just to help people. There was somebody posted that I need a logo, I can't find anybody, so I thought, I'll help them out, and it just snowballed after that.
Actually, I would say that was a genius move. Like in the industry, first of all, I know for people who don't know this, I own multiple niche specific SEO agencies. Well, not just SEO. I look for problems in a market and then I fill them. And I'm in the same industry as Aftab is, though we don't provide the same thing. I provide marketing, but I found this to actually be genius because a lot of people were investing in Fiverr at the time, like Fiverr people, and they got scammed a lot of times. And then you came with actually really good looking logos. They all fit. Many of my clients they own logos that you made. So yeah, I found it a genius move because you're basically fixing a problem and then offering a solution on top if they want. So I found that a genius marketing move. Is that something you
Yeah,
came
yeah.
up with yourself, or was it like,
Well, it's a service we offer. I mean, in the UK is where the majority of our customers are, or Europe, and we offer not just uh, logo or design services,
yeah,
which we've offered. Our strength has always been graphics. The technology nobody can really see, but the websites and the graphics people can. So even to this day, I still design the majority of the graphics. I do all the branding for BCN. It's not like we have a huge design team. It's
yeah,
still something I enjoy and take pride in. But we also offer additional services. We sell straps for inflatables, cleaners, um, leaflets, business cards, merchandise, workwear. There's a pile of workwear there that's ready to go. So we have a department here that does all those kind of things. It's just obviously we're not based in the US, so we can't offer those services there just
yeah,
yet. But there are people out there that already offer these things.
yeah,
So there are additional stuff. It's not just websites. I mean, and they're all, they're all add-on services. We do it at cost. I mean, I charge about $75 for a logo. It's nothing really. It's really just to cover a bit of admin time. My time as a graphic designer and a creative director is worth a hell of a lot more than
yeah.
than
Yeah, I would
the
say if you
$75.
compare,
It's just yeah.
yeah, if you compare your logo, the one you make, like I saw some of yours, right? Like I saw some of the logos you make. If you compare them with the Fiverr logo, then the difference is obviously there. And I do design some logos because most of my design work I do myself, merely because I enjoy it. Also, I also went into the web design route, but I quickly turned around because I really don't like dealing with customers like that.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I know how
People
much work it
underestimate
is.
how challenging it is to actually
Yeah,
manage a web solution. I mean, everybody likes to get in on the action when it comes to websites, but they soon realize that to maintain a customer base and the level of technical support that's required. I mean, just around the corner from me is a whole bank of customer support
yeah,
staff,
exactly.
and it's a very labor intensive business to deliver a high quality service. And
Yeah,
we're not so focused on profits. For us, it's more about providing a solution and a service, which is
yeah,
why I don't mind doing the logo for somebody. I'll spend half a day happily, designing something that's going to help them, because it's important that somebody in need of a good brand and they've approached me, I can't say no, really. When somebody asks me for a logo and, I try and provide them something that I'm happy with. And I always message the people on Facebook and say, I will do you a logo, but I've got to be happy with it just as much as you have. And if
Yeah.
if, if I don't like it, you're not even going to get to see it. And whether you like it or not, it's irrelevant. It's going to have my name attached to it. It's got to be up to my standard.
I see this a lot actually, because I've been like back when I started becoming a web developer, because I am certified and all of that, right? Like my initial goal was to become a software developer.
Mhm.
But the quickest way at that time to make money, and I was a school dropout, so I needed money, was web development. And I think the big illusion right now is a lot of people, they invest in cheap hosting and then they put Elementor on a WordPress website and they smash some elements together and suddenly they're selling websites. And I think that's where the illusion comes in, because you have to make them mobile responsive. You have to know your way around JavaScript. You have to know all that kind of stuff. And I think selling websites, and I see some people coming up with that's there's more to it. There's lots more to it. It's initially when I hopped off was because I simply didn't see the scalability at that time for me. But yeah, I can see that customer support is a very important aspect, especially for something you're offering, right? Like you must put a lot of resources in that as well, especially in an industry where most people aren't well technologically as advanced as we are. um, so I think that's also your unique selling point, is the easy deployment of PCM. Is you can get your website live and you don't need to know all the backend stuff that you need to know with the WordPress website, which is for somebody like me, I would prefer WordPress because I know all the things I need to do. But for somebody like has virtually no experience on the internet, I can see why that would be a good selling point. Is that one of the main reasons why you're not focusing on WordPress in general? Because I heard you had a plugin for WordPress.
We have a plugin. So we have a solution where we provide the website entirely, the website and the reservation system. Or you can just have the reservation system, which can plug into Wix, WordPress, and these are self-build type of systems. Or you can have somebody build it for you. You can
Yeah,
still commission a professional. And there's some very good ones in our industry.
yeah, Dave Barnes.
Um, yeah, David Barnes. There's a few now. There's a few people offering WordPress websites. When you actually pay attention in the groups, there's lots of guys out there. I don't want to give too much away about WordPress. I don't want to knock the WordPress. That it's people claim it's used by 70% of the internet and these kind of things. And
Yeah,
really, the only reason for that is because it's easy to deploy, as you said.
yeah,
It's easy, it's free. You can find cheap hosting. Um, Unfortunately, that does come with drawbacks,
yeah, a lot of them. Yeah,
and, and you'll know what those drawbacks are. But BCN is actually the only solution which is one platform. So there is no separate website and a separate back office system. It's actually one platform
yeah,
that powers websites. And
exactly.
it's been designed over decades now to be streamlined, really efficient code to rank really, really well. And you've done SEO on our websites, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
like for like, a WordPress website matched against a BCN website, it stands no chance, no
yeah,
chance whatsoever. So long as you put the equal amount of work in, a BCN website will outrank any WordPress, any platform-based website out there. You don't need to spend on AdWords. You don't need to have additional functionality to generate bookings. Our websites will rank. Our booking process is slim. It's been refined. It's easy to use.
yeah,
It's mobile friendly. It's under constant refinement and under constant code review to make sure that it is the leanest, fastest solution out there. I mean, our servers are the equivalent cost of a top end developer,
yeah,
because they are optimized for performance. And you could run statistics, these speed tests and site tests against a WordPress site versus a BCN one, and we'll probably score twice as high. And so we're always very, very conscious of performance and efficiencies and streamlining things to the optimum, in terms of SEO rankings. And we've seen websites go from from nowhere with other providers, WordPress, and we have competitors out there who specialize in WordPress and they've got their own solutions out there. But a BCN website, when it goes live, I've seen them go from nowhere to page one within 2, 3, 4 weeks and stay there. And we provide solid foundation, solid SEO guidance within our system. Just the basics. There's no need for any specialist information. SEOs can be as complicated as you want it to be, but the essence of it is very, very simple.
Yeah.
And that all that can be found in the back end of a BCN website, and then you add in the additional skills of people like yourself, and then website just goes.
And
And
now,
we have number one positions all over the world. Certainly outside of America, where we've been going for the longest. There is not a single place in the world where you cannot type Bouncy house rental or whatever, and it's not a BCN website in the top positions. And now they're starting to come through into the US as well. Certainly this year.
yeah, you seem to know your way around SEO, right? And most of the people I actually speak to on this podcast are SEOs, so I'm glad to get to speak to somebody else. Although it is fairly interesting to meet people from the same field. Now, you say you start with branding and stuff like that, right? Most of us SEOs, when we roll into SEO, it's often because we are either school dropouts or we want to start an online business, and SEO marketing easy way. Back then it was easy money. There's a low entry, which is scary because everybody can claim to be an SEO. But how did you get into the whole branding thing though, and why aren't you doing SEO? Like, you seem to know your way around it. Like, how did you roll into the branding? Did you study for it? Was
Yeah.
it just, did you actually went to school for it?
Yes, yes. I mean, I was a very kind of hands-on, practical student, and although I was academic, I scored very highly in mock exams, as we call them, which is like a pre-exam test. But when it actually came to the exam dates, I thought I performed really, really well, but I would always get quite low scores in things like maths and whatnot. And it was very frustrating for me. And I spent almost 3 years resitting, high school school exams. And in the end, I managed to get enough qualifications to get into uni, but I was quite frustrated with my results. So I went to my career advisor at the time in school, and I said, "What course is there out there which doesn't have an exam?" And it was only graphic design, which was the course that was there. So obviously one door closed, another door opened, and from the day I first started doing graphics, and this is before Macs were used in studio, so it was still hand rendering using markers, pens, visuals, collages, those kind of things to get your ideas across. And I learned the kind of true fundamentals of design. So I did a GCSE, which is in the UK examination, which is where I kind of flopped. And then I went back to the BTEC first, BTEC National, the Higher National Diploma, and then finished off with a degree. First job, second job, right to the top of the food chain, my own business, all the way to the top. So it literally is the only thing that I've ever done, apart from sales, on a professional level. Graphic design and build agencies and build brands. That's really been my background since day one. And on the question of SEO, although we are very skilled at SEO, I mean, our customers rank everywhere for all kinds of search terms, as do we as a business, and we can get pretty much anybody to rank for anything. But we don't offer the service to our customers, and the reason for that is we feel it's a conflict of interest. So obviously you can't. There's all kind of factors, as that come into SEO: the age of your domain name, the quality of your content, the size of the pictures that you upload, alt tags, H1 tags, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's all it's not like for like. The same amount of effort on each and every site, even if you put the basics in, will have a different effect on that website. So we realized this earlier on, because we would have customers that were frustrated that so and so has become number one and we're number two. We want to be number one. And so obviously everybody can be number one. There's always got to be a one and two, regardless of what you do. And so we slowly stepped out of that industry, and instead we shared the true fundamental knowledge of SEO to our customers. to our customers and gave them the tools to be able to carry out those tasks and left it to them. We took care of the technological side of things, the infrastructure, the IT, the code, and then we just said, this is how you do X, Y, and Z to rank. This is how you go about link building. Don't cheat the system. Work within Google's guidelines. Do it well. Do it right. Tick all the boxes, and you will rank, and you will survive every shuffle that Google throws at you. And our websites do. You don't need to pay for. In fact, a lot of our customers don't even really pay for AdWords and things. They will do if you're in a specific product or a highly competitive area. Then obviously paying for SEO services is crucial to be competitive.
Yeah, yeah. Now, let's say hypothetically, right? Let's say that tomorrow you wake up, you lose everything. How would you build your way back? Like, is there like if you were a new business owner, what would you do differently, basically?
I don't know if I would do anything differently. I mean, my inherent skill is graphics and branding, and I can, we have a dozen business ideas every day, as entrepreneurs. So creating a new business isn't difficult. There's the food industry I've always had an interest in. Vehicles, modifying vehicles, fitness. Like you, I've been hitting the gym hard. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
so there's so I believe so long as you have a passion in something, and it's something of genuine interest. I was also an archer for a while. Archery, the sport, and
Yeah.
I was not quite a competitive level, but I was on my way there before I sustained shoulder injuries. Um, and I really wanted to get into reselling equipment. So, e-commerce, websites, online branding, marketing, building something from scratch is what we do day in, day out
Yeah.
for Bouncy Castle, Bounce House rental businesses. Every business is a new business that comes to us. It's we treat them from scratch.
Yeah.
Logo, website, instructions, and away you go. And training. So those principles apply to any business. And uh, I'd love to have a side project, but this keeps us very, very busy. I mean, it's a 24-hour day business. Me and Eddie are both, messaging each other up until the late hours. Fiona wakes up very early, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and she'll schedule everything for the support team of what's coming overnight. A very sophisticated process in terms of scheduling of what needs to be done in a day. Because when you service, several thousand customers, you have to be very, very prepared.
Yeah. I
And
think
obviously,
that's
I'm like the mouthpiece for the business, in terms of social media. So those skills they're transferable. It's not just about this one industry. And like I said, if everything was to be reset and start again, then we start again. No
I
problem.
think that's what many businesses actually lack at, and that's what if you're a beginning agency owner, beginner's business owner, you really should start seeing the value of structuring your business correctly, like scheduling and well, just administration in general. Like for example, my SEO system works the way that I get a notification on my phone so that I know that stuff gets done, right? So when I'm in the gym, I get a notification. Let's say Google Stack is done. I find that to be very important. Like a lot of people, they complain about workers, especially in the bounce industry. I think it's not often the workers, but it's also the lack of training and lack of systems in place. And I think you, as a business owner, you really should start valuing structure and professionalism in general, because while that might not be as relevant when you are doing 2,000 a month, 5,000 a month, it will be very relevant on your way up. And it's far more difficult to implement that when you're doing really well. Because when you're like, if I have to make changes on some of my projects right now, that would be almost catastrophical if I would have to switch my entire system around. So I think, yeah, having good system is really valuable. But now, while you are indeed correct, right? You do have the skill set, but let's say there's a younger version of yourself running around. What kind of advice would you give him? Um, will you tell him to start also in the web solution business or a different route, just because you know how competitive it is, how much customer support?
And I do give that advice actually. in my locality, I'm probably the kind of senior
Yeah,
web designer in the industry, in kind of the Greater Manchester area, and I'm from a town called Rochdale. So you always get the younger guys who kind of look up to you, see your success and see your
yeah,
progress, and we want to get into websites as well. And my advice to them almost exclusively now is look, find another industry. It really is so saturated. I mean, I used to be able to command 15, 20, 30,000 pounds for a 10-page CMS website, once upon a
yeah,
time. And now they're free. The value's gone from that industry unless you go into the kind of bespoke solution type of service, which is a lot of planning, very expensive development. And with development, the cost is time. So if something's £100,000 or £200,000 development or dollars, that's how long it's going to take to produce. So you get paid at the beginning, you get paid in the middle, you get paid at the end, and the bigger the project, the wider
yeah,
that gap is, and you need cash flow. So it's a difficult industry to get into, and even with graphic design, branding, there's so many resources out there now. I mean, graphic designers aren't really graphic designers anymore; they're more compilers.
yeah,
So they'll
exactly.
gather information from stock libraries and they'll put something together, and that's what I do. It's not. I add my finishing touches onto it, the polish, which I know comes from experience, but the core elements are usually kind of gathered from resources because it's more efficient to do that. And almost anything and everything you would need to build a brand is out there. It's just having the eye for it, the skill, and the patience to be able to, build
Yeah,
a unique, make it into something unique, which is yours. Um, so I wouldn't recommend this industry in particular. I don't know what industry. Web3 was a thing up until last year, and then all that's kind of
yeah,
crashed and crumbled, and I had a very strong interest in that. Um, I don't know. I don't know. It's a tricky question. But if somebody's an entrepreneur, I believe, and they have a passion for business, so long as they are honest to themselves, they are passionate about what it is that they're doing, they will find an opening somewhere. I don't feel like I go to work, because it's the only thing I've ever done. It's the only thing I've ever loved. It's every day here in the office is a day in the gym for me,
yeah, exactly, exactly. Like, yeah, I do
and I get paid
relate
very
to
well
that a
for
lot.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a good motivator. In fact, I one of the podcasts I recorded yesterday, the guy actually made a very interesting statement. He said that uh, a psychological study proved that up until 70K a year, um, will get you a lot of happiness money wise, right? We all say money doesn't make you happy, but he said the study actually proves that up until 70K a
Mm.
year, you gain a lot of benefits happiness wise. But up on there, actually, the returns start diminishing to the point where it actually starts getting more stressful.
Yeah.
Now, would you agree with that? Would you say that more money actually becomes far more stress? Um,
To a certain extent, um, I think it becomes an issue if you're not a wholesome person and you don't have a hobby. My hobby is the gym. I build model cars. I read comics. Anything to keep me occupied.
yeah,
I don't watch TV. I watch Netflix and things like that sometimes on the treadmill. But for the most part, I'm always doing something or learning something or a new hobby or a new skill or researching. So I keep myself kind of occupied. Um, so if you're a person that's I feel has a hollowness inside them, and buying things and spending money fills that, then that problem is only going to get a lot worse with the more money you have because you want grander things. I mean, we all like bigger cars. I mean, from my first car to what I drive now is, a marked difference. And I really, really, really like cars. It's like a real passion of mine. But I buy nice cars because I like the appearance of them. I like the design. I like the performance, but some people like it for status and egotistical values, in which case you will never be fulfilled. So I do feel that money will make you happy because your bills are paid, you got food on the table, you live in a nice house, and you're comfortable. But then, like I said, if you're not a healthy, wholesome person in terms of comfortable with yourself, then yes, you will go and spend that money on things that are not going to give you contentment. Or they'll give you temporary relief, and then you want to spend more and spend more and spend more on more elaborate things and bigger watches and gold watches and a diamond encrusted watch and
Yeah,
diamond teeth and diamond everything else, and you'll still not be happy.
exactly.
It's just the nature of there's a saying in our culture is that if God gave you a mountain, if God gave man a mountain of gold, he would want another one.
Yeah.
You know, we're not the type of thing to be fulfilled uh, by material wealth. You have to find substance in other things.
Personally, in general, like I can say that money, well, it changes a lot, right? Like I mean, I can get my family what they want, but up until this day, my family, nobody knows how well I'm doing. Because I find, like, for a brief moment in my internet career, I was actually pretty vocal about my success. I think was up until I was doing like 20,000 a month, right? Up until then, I was pretty vocal, and as a result, I actually saw a lot of people switching on me. You know what I mean? Like, suddenly they were very friendly. So ever since then, I started being less vocal about it to the point where not even my mom knows how much I earn. And I can tell you that there's only so much happiness you get from it. I think people really overestimate how much money does. And I think the reason they overestimate it is because they have a lack of money. You know, when you buy stuff, it actually creates an endorphin boost in your brain, but that doesn't last, you know.
No,
And I think it's dangerous. I think most entrepreneurs, they don't give a rat's ass about money, only to the point where it's a way to measure success. You know, for me, money is only a tool to see how well I'm doing, and even that is not really accurate. But I would say if you're in business, most of the beneficial things are things that money isn't providing, like discipline. You know, especially like any business owner should go to the gym. That's one thing. But in general, the beneficial things from business, I would say, aren't necessarily money. It's just, you know, you're for me, the whole thing that makes me happy is doing constantly what I love to do. You know, that's why no matter what, I will become more successful every day just because I'm doing what I love. I think if you're doing that
really.
as a business owner, you're just on the right path. If you're doing something just for financial gain, that's going to work out on a short term basis. But if you're going to do that consistently, you're going to burn out.
No, absolutely. I mean, you touched on a great point there, which is discipline. There's 101 courses and videos and YouTube stuff about motivation and
Yeah,
success and doing it by yourself and, like working hard and, all these kind of things that to inspire you and keep you going. There's not very much out there for discipline. There's no mastermind on how we're becoming a disciplined person. And you're right, that is probably a fundamental skill to learn if you want to be successful. Being consistent, disciplined, routine, and actually, this is why some of the guys like Mark Zuckerberg and people like these, where they go to the point of not even wearing different clothes. They'll have the same style of clothes, the same style of haircut, the same routine. Warren Buffett is notorious for that, even to the point where his breakfast is regimented.
yeah,
Have the same breakfast, the same lunch, because there's no decision to be made. You're just kind of flowing through your day.
yeah,
And but discipline in business uh, and going to the gym, I think, are absolutely key. I mean, I'll give you a bit of a backstory about what kind of happened with me in my very early business and how important discipline and the gym is. Now, in 2000, around 2000, actually, I went through personal bankruptcy. So I had one of the largest growing web design agencies in the north of the country. And it was a partnership between me and my friend. And we grew that big that before we'd got to our first year's accounts to become a limited company, we were still a sole trader or a partnership. went from a sole trader to a partnership, but even gone to the point of becoming a limited company. And around the time before I met Eddie, the credit crunch came in, and and this is actually the time where I met Eddie, and he was very helpful to me through this process. And we lost a major contract. We used to specialize in real estate websites in the US, and we'd found a niche market where we could bypass state laws, so realtors could sell to one another in another state. It was a kind of what do they call them? We call them like a brownfield project. It was like an early stage project. But hundreds of thousands have been plowed into this, and this project got pulled. And the result of that meant my 40 or 50 contractors couldn't get paid, and all the money that we had banked over the years, within 3, 4, 5, 6 months, waiting for this credit crunch to kind of recover, which it didn't for like 10 years. Meant all our cash flow got used up. I mean, there were a lot of businesses in the same situation, so I had to declare myself personally bankrupt, and I almost lost everything. And one of my friends, mine and Eddie's a mutual friend, said to me, he goes, after that, he goes, one thing, he goes, do not stop going to the gym through all this. He goes, don't be worried about any red letters or any bailiffs and all these kind of things that all the banks shaking you down. He goes, you just keep going there, hit the kills, bench press, squat, and you just keep going to that gym, keep a consistent routine, keep your body healthy. Your body's healthy, your mind's going to be healthy. And he was absolutely right. So just stay disciplined in your normal routine. Don't wake up early like you do, hit the gym, do what you got to do in the day, and do what you've got to do to get through the situation. And it took me nearly 6 years to get out of that kind of a situation, and I had to repay £392,000.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
money.
and like I said, but during that time, we built BCN. We built had other businesses, Sizzle Media, had other businesses, and the reason why I called my website Sizzle Media at the time was because we got our fingers burnt, and so it was a very difficult time, very dark period. I don't really like to talk about it much, but touching on the point of discipline and fitness and health and having a very strong team around you. This is why me and Eddie are so tight, is because he was, there helping me get through this situation. I was helping him build his business up, and out of that sprung BCN. And it was the side hustle and this project to get me solve his problem and solve my problem became a successful business. So it was
Yeah.
an interesting foundation.
I think working out in general, a lot like actually studies prove that if you work out 42 minutes a day, then you're going to perform better. And if you look at any successful person, or at least the big majority, they either have a military background or a martial arts background, or
I
they're
do.
hitting yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, because those things, they require discipline. Like when I hit a few mental block roads, blocks, holy shit. I hit a few mental blocks across my path as well, like obviously dealing with money gain was very difficult because I'm not a very materialistic person. But I believe last year I went through not with depression, but I hit rock bottom, right? And the only thing I knew how to deal with that was get up and start running. Like, I mean, if you're letting yourself go, like putting yourself in shape, having yourself like working out has so much more to do than looking good. It's
Mm,
feeling good, feeling confident. Confidence does so much. And as a
absolutely.
business owner, if you're like, even if you have very little time, you do have the 40 minutes, like 3 times a week to go to the gym and go lift some weights or go for a 30-minute run in the morning, and you will see drastic changes. That's really ridiculous how important that is. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Number one rule, in business, go to the gym, and me and Eddie are both kind of avid gym goers, as is his wife and our children as well. But yeah, you touched again on another interesting topic there about money gain.
Yeah.
It is surprising how uncomfortable people get when they do first um, start earning, the 70K plus, let's say,
Yeah.
as a mark, where they may have only been in 20s and 30s and those kind of
Yeah.
things. there's a Tony Robbins calls this a period of like self-sabotage. You start doubting yourself, and your
Exactly.
body wants to return back to a place of comfort, which is not poverty, but uh, it sees this wealth uh, or gain as being like a foreign body that's
Yeah.
a change in lifestyle, and it does take some adjustment. And like you said, people do start treating you differently. They'll speak to you different. If you're driving a nice car, they will kind of acknowledge you differently as well. And these are all things that I've noticed as well. But if you are successful, it's you become uh, uh, you're almost moving to different brackets of network and individuals, and they have different mindsets, and you have to grow with your own growth. You have to change yourself as well. Well, I don't think anybody's kind of born with that top tier mentality. They've kind of worked their way up to it, or they're trained on how to manage it. And finding mentors and people you can speak to who are in a similar situation is important, because it's they call professionals, and professionals go to elite people. There are less and less people. Elite means few. So you do separate yourself from the pack, and when you do separate yourself from the pack, more eyes are on you because you are the front runner. Everybody else wants to be like you or wants what you have, and you got to keep running, keep running forward.
Yeah, I would say, like, indeed, as you say, you start attracting new people in your life.
Yeah,
And I think that's very important in general. Is a lot of people don't do this, and I see a lot of people reaching a certain point of success and then falling back. And that's merely because while they are like climbing the ladder as we speak, they aren't necessarily adjusting their personal lives,
yeah,
and that's very difficult because you like they always say in these motivational posts like you will incur loss, but in a lot of cases you are the one causing yourself to lose people because some people are just inherently toxic, you know
yeah,
um and
hundred
so
percent.
you have to make sacrifice on that end as well. You have to cut off the losers, if you know what I mean. Like it's okay to have friends who are in a bad position, but if they're dragging you down, then that's an issue. So you have to make sacrifices stuff, and the only way to do that is to prioritize yourself. But I also feel that a lot of people who prioritize themselves, they start to lose that. What I tend to try to keep very much alive is that little spark that keeps them kind. I think if you're kind, if you're happy, if you're a happy person, you'll be so much more likely to attract new people inside your circle. And if you stop attracting people with the idea of gaining something and just in general generally building a relationship with them, even if they are in the same business, even if they have the same interests, like doors are going to start opening. So I think it's, yeah, like a lot of people say it's not my fault. In a lot of cases, it is your fault. You have to make sacrifice. You have to change up. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you have to take accountability. Accountability is an essential component of being successful.
exactly.
Gary Vee's big on this,
Yeah, I'm a
where
big
he's
fan.
constantly saying that where it ends with you, regardless of your own performance or your business performance, if it's or your own attitude, it's really under your control. Um, you know, Obviously you get people that are kind of hot and cold.
Exactly.
There's, I mean, I'm different to Eddie. I mean, I'm more mild-tempered. Eddie's more, aggressive type of business person. Where he will, and we call him like the bulldozer. He'll just, if he has an idea, he will
Yeah,
kind of will push it through, regardless, and make it work. Where I'm more like a people's type of person, so you kind of work with people, you network, you share ideas,
yeah,
and together, we work fantastic as a team in that sense. Like a, what do you say, like a hammer and chisel. He's he just sticks me in and then doof, right, forces things through carefully. Um, and it is all about self accountability.
yeah,
I feel responsible for BCN as a brand. I feel responsible for or feel partially responsible for people's success in their businesses. I take huge pride when customers say that they've done well with BCN, and their customers, their business is double, triple, quadrupled, or
Yeah.
even if it stayed the same. The fact that something I designed or had some input in, obviously it's a team business, has helped facilitate their success and put food on their table that their families enjoy, and their kids are being educated and they're driving nice cars and have good homes and enjoying a holiday. That just maybe $1 of my effort is in there is hugely rewarding.
Yeah.
It was a big lesson from my father. I mean, a lot of the time he never used to even charge people. He was an odd job man. He'd go out and do building work and do repairs, and was a crafts type of person. And he'd come back, and if they couldn't afford it, they couldn't afford it. He'd come back, and she'd say, why have you not brought any money back? He goes, didn't have any to give. He goes, but the water stopped leaking, the tap stopped leaking. They're happy, I'm happy. We're
Yeah.
not going to be any worse off by not having that extra £5 in our pocket. But they're going to be, warmer now that I've managed to repair their boiler. And that mentality has always kind of stuck with me in terms of, you have a skill. My skill is graphic design and branding, and I can make it affordable for people, and it's going to have a exponential effect on their businesses. And for me, that's blessings going forward. For me and my family.
Yeah, that's pretty inspiring. I see that we're running out of time, but it has been great so far. Really, I've learned a lot about you. Must say, you have a really interesting story, and thank you for jumping on. Sincerely, means a lot to me. Is there something you still have to say to the people watching this? Anything they can go visit you on, follow you on?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's Bouncy Castle Network, which is our business, www.bouncykastlenetwork.com. You can kind of Google us, just type in Bouncy Castle Network, you'll find all the details. We're on TikTok, all the social media channels, Facebook, you can find me. Any questions you have. The one thing I would say is, if you have any questions about BCN and about booking systems and reservation systems, it's a very competitive market. Ask us directly. You don't need to go for somebody else's
Yeah.
opinion or what they might think. Just come to us, ask us directly. We will tell you if the website is suitable for you or not. If it's not, we will be the first person to say, look, you're better off with, another provider. So, don't be afraid to come to us. There's no hard sell. We are, as you see us here, is how we are in business and how we are in real life. But yeah, do that. I think that's important, that people do independent research, find out for themselves from the actual businesses that they're planning on using, rather than going for third-party opinions. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, that's indeed very understandable because I've seen a lot of people ask about you guys and sometimes being misinformed. So I totally understand that.
Yeah,
Um, anyway, thank you for appearing. It means the world to me.
I appreciate it, Brett. It's been nice to catch up with you again, and yeah, good
been a
luck with
while.
your own journey as well. I've seen you go from, you've seen you grow
Yeah,
over the
thank
years,
you.
and it's really inspiring. And we've always kind of kept in touch over the years. And thanks for inviting me to share my story and about mine and Eddie's business
Yeah,
with your audience.
it's really pleasant to hear. Thank you.
Oh boy.